In our last video, we explained new economic policy of liberalization, privatization, and globalization. In this video, we'll explain some important reforms in India since 1991 and World Trade Organization. First, we have fiscal reforms, or it is also known as tax reforms. Tax reforms are concerned with the reforms in government's taxation and public expenditure policies, which are collectively known as fiscal policy. There are two types of taxes: direct and indirect taxes. Direct taxes consist of taxes on individuals' income as well as corporate profit. As far as indirect taxes are concerned, the main taxes were customs duty, excise duty, service tax, value added tax, sales tax, luxury tax, etc. Since 1991, there has been a continuous reduction in taxes on individual incomes as it was felt that high rates of income tax were an important reason for tax evasion. It is now widely accepted that moderate rates of income tax encourage savings and voluntary disclosure of income. The rate of corporation tax, which was very high earlier, has been gradually reduced. Goods and services tax was introduced in India on 1st July 2017, and it has subsumed all indirect taxes except custom duty. Thus, there are now only two indirect taxes: GST and customs duty. Next is foreign exchange reforms. The first important reform in the external sector was made in the foreign exchange market. In 1991, as an immediate measure to resolve the balance of payments crisis, the rupee was devalued against foreign currencies. This led to an increase in the inflow of foreign exchange. It also set the tone to free the determination of rupee value in the foreign exchange market from government control. Now markets determine exchange rate based on the demand and supply of foreign exchange. Next is trade reforms. The trade policy reforms aimed at dismantling of quantitative restrictions on imports and exports, reduction of tariff rates, and removal of licensing procedure for imports. Import licensing was abolished except in case of hazardous and environmentally sensitive industries. Quantity restrictions on imports of manufactured and consumer goods and agricultural products were also fully removed from April 2001. Export duties have been removed to increase the competitive position of Indian goods in the international market. Foreign investment policy reforms. The government has also liberalized capital flows in the form of FDI, that is foreign direct investment. Foreign investment is now allowed in almost all sectors within specified limits. It becomes now automatic approval. Government has now announced a number of steps to encourage investments from NRIs. Let us see some reforms under foreign investment policy. The number of products in which foreign investment is freely permitted has been significantly raised. The foreign investors are free to compete with the domestic producers in the Indian market. In most of the cases, the foreign investors are free to have a majority share in equity. Moreover, simplification of procedures, and we can say Indian rupee was devalued in 1991 against foreign currencies. This was needed to solve the foreign exchange crisis. The exchange value of Indian rupee in the foreign exchange market was left to the free play of market forces. Rupee was allowed to depreciate. Foreign exchange controls were relaxed, permitting liberal transactions in foreign currencies on current account. Disinvestment policy. Disinvestment means the selling the shares only minority shareholdings, which is less than 51% of shareholdings in select public sector units to the public or private. The purpose of the sale, according to the government, was mainly to improve financial discipline and facilitate modernization. The government identifies public sector enterprises as Maharatnas, Nabaratnas, and Miniratnas. Let us see what are these Maharatnas, Navaratnas, and Miniratnas. Maharatnas, in December 2009, the Government of India approved the introduction of Maharatna category for central public sector enterprises. The main objective of creating Maharatna category was to empower capable public sector enterprises to expand their operations and emerge as global giants. The board of a Maharatna has been allowed to exercise all powers given to Navaratna enterprises, and in addition, exercise enhanced power in the area of investment in joint ventures or subsidiaries. Eight public sector enterprises have been granted the Maharatna status so far. These are Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, BHEL, Coal India Limited, Gas Authority of India Limited, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, National Thermal Power Corporation Limited (NTPC), ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, and SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, and Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. Now, Navaratnas, the government has identified 16 public sector enterprises as Navaratnas and decided to give enhanced powers to the board of directors of these enterprises to facilitate their becoming global players. The board of these Navaratnas have been professionalized by inducting non-official part-time professionals. These Navaratnas include Bharat Electronics Limited, not BEL, it is BEL, BEL. Bharat Electronics Limited, Container Corporation of India Limited, Engineers India Limited, Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, and Oil India Limited. Finally, we come to the mini Ratnas. The government has also granted financial and operational autonomy to some of the other profit making public sector undertakings, subject to fulfilling certain conditions. These enterprises are categorized as mini Ratnas. The enterprises which have made profit continuously for the last 3 years and have earned net profits of rupees 30 crore or more in one of the 3 years with positive net worth are categorized as mini Ratnas. 1. Category 2 mini Ratnas should have made profits for the last 3 years continuously and should have a positive net worth. The total number of mini Ratnas is 75, that is under category 1 60 and category 2 15. Next, outsourcing. This is one of the important outcomes of globalization. In outsourcing, a company hires regular service from external sources, mostly from other countries, which was previously provided internally or from within the country, like legal advice, computer service, advertisement, security, each provided by respective departments of the company. Most multinational corporations and even small companies are outsourcing their services to India, where they can avail at a cheaper cost with reasonable degree of skill and accuracy. Presently, many voice-based business processes, that is BPOs or call centers, record keeping, accountancy, banking service, and a host of other services, for example, clinical advice, teaching, etc., are being outsourced by companies in developed countries to India. Now let us come to the World Trade Organization. In international trade relations, the greatest event to occur in recent times was the setting up of World Trade Organization in 1995. World Trade Organization replaced General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which was established on 1948 with which was signed by 23 countries. India was one of the founder member of General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. The WTO agreements cover trade in goods as well as services to facilitate internal trade, bilateral and multilateral, through removal of tariff as well as non-tariff barriers and providing greater market access to all member countries. Now let us see what the agreements in WTO, which are known as WTO agreements. First, we see the agreement on agriculture. This provides framework for long-term reforms of agricultural trade and domestic policies over the years to come, with the objective of introducing increased market orientation in agricultural trade. Next, agreement on trade in textile and multi-fiber, that is called multi-fiber arrangement. Next, agreement on market access. The market nations are required to cut tariffs on industrial and farm goods in a bid to promote foreign trade and provide better access to foreign competition in their domestic markets. Agreement on trade related investment measures, which is in short called TRIMS. TRIMS. The agreement on TRIMS calls for introducing national treatment of foreign investment and removal of quantitative restrictions. Agreement on TRIPS. TRIPS. TRIPS stands for Trade Related Intellectual Property Rights. It is imposed on stringent conditions for the protection of the intellectual property rights. IPR covers a variety of rights in the field of patents, copyrights, and related rights, industrial designs, layout designs of integrated circuits, etc. Agreement on services. Trade in services like banking, insurance, travel, maritime transportation, mobility of labor, etc., was brought within the ambit of negotiations in the Uruguay round. So in short, we say that in addition to goods, WTA also aims to encourage and promote the trading of services.